So the Detroit Lions came into week 1 of the 2024 NFL season with a lot of expectations. But man oh man did they impress me with what they showed in their big 6-point win over the Rams and what was a revenge game for LA. You knew the returning Detroit players had a bad taste in their mouth from what happened in the NFC Championship game last year. And you knew Detroit had a great offseason and brought in new talent, but you never know what things are going to look like in a new season with the changes that were made on the actual field. In this video, I'm going to recap the game. I'm going to talk about some of the things I saw, both good and bad. I'm going to talk about individual performances and so much more. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 40k subscribers, and with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. Alright, so let's start out with the game recap. So the Rams got on the board first after Matthew Stafford ate some of that early clock up, driving his offense down the field. But they did have to settle for a 41-yard field goal, and Cardi knocked it right through to go up 3-0. And the score would stay that way throughout the rest of the first quarter. Early on in the second, Jared Goff would complete some nice passes to St. Brown and Laporta, but he was unable to put the ball in the end zone, leading to another field goal to tie the game up at 3. In the middle of the second quarter, we saw the Jahmyr Gibbs show. He was doing a lot of the dirty work, even catching passes out wide, and he was able to punch the ball in the end zone to put the Lions up 10-3. And the score would stay that way after a defensive stand before going into half. The Lions got up by even more in the third quarter when Goff threw a 55-yard bomb that was reeled in by Jameson Williams for an electric touchdown to make the score 17-3. And I think the scoreboard lit a fire under the Rams because they immediately responded. They had a few big chunk plays, Matthew Stafford made some really good throws, and then Kyren Williams finished the drive off punching the ball into the end zone. Then in the fourth, Stafford hit Tyler Johnson down the middle of the field for a huge 63-yard gain to put the Lions offense in business. But on this drive, the Rams defense stood tall, holding Detroit to just 3. So with 12:32 left to go in the ballgame, the Lions had a 4-point lead with the ball. And the Lions had no problem driving the ball down the field, but then Goff threw an interception on a pass intended for John Johnson that completely flipped the momentum and outlook of this game. The Rams still had a long way to go, starting off on their own 20, but slowly and methodically, Stafford marched down the field, completing passes to Kupp, Parkinson, Johnson, and Robinson. A 20-yard catch by Kupp got them across midfield, and then Kupp also ultimately caught a pass in the end zone for the touchdown to put the Rams up by 3 with 4:35 left to go in a complete turn of events. You knew the Lions weren't just going to go out like that though. Not with Dan Campbell as the coach. They found a way to get across the field into field goal range, and Bates knocked the 32-yarder through to tie the game to take it into overtime. I hate the fact that the flip of a coin is still deciding games in 2024. I don't care if it's only the regular season, it is so dumb, especially with how big of an advantage with the rules offenses have over defenses now. But for the Lions, they lucked out and got the ball first, and Goff just methodically drove right down the field, and Montgomery punched it in for the 1-yard touchdown and game winner. I know the overtime rules suck, but this was still a super fun and entertaining first Sunday night game of the year. And I think both the Rams and Lions will have great seasons. But anyways, good football teams find ways to win games even when they don't play their best football. And that's what the Detroit Lions were able to do. Here's what some of the players had to say following this win.
I think the theme of tonight we just kept shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit. Certainly offensively, just, you know, we had some plays there that we could have had, and I got to be better with the cadence for our guys and be a little smoother there on the operational stuff, and that alone would solve a lot of problems tonight that we had, but it just wasn't our smoothest, but a win's a win. We got to be happy about it.
It's the first game, and the ones that can just play basic football the best, the blocking, the tackling, targeting, communication, taking care of the football, being smart with it, the check down, they win, Lions head coach Dan Campbell said after the game. So yeah, there's things that, man, they're going to come along with it. And it's the first time a lot of these guys in a while have played that many plays with that much intensity. And so, this is our first taste. We'll get better. We'll get in a better flow on both sides of the ball. We will. Looking at some stats, Jared Goff threw for 217 yards with 1 touchdown. But he did throw that interception, and Montgomery led the way by far in the rushing department with 91 yards and that game-winning touchdown. But Gibbs didn't have himself too bad of a day either, rushing for 40 yards with a touchdown. In the receiving department, I don't think anyone expected what we saw out of Jameson Williams, but he was incredible, leading the way with 121 yards and a touchdown off 5 receptions. And then Sam Laporta also had 45 yards off 4. And the kicker in Jake Bates was a perfect 2 for 2 on the day. Switching gears to talk about the defense, the Lions defense put forth a mixed performance, showcasing both promising strengths and areas that need improvement moving forward. The unit's ability to generate pressure on Stafford was a significant positive, with the front 7 really causing some disruption throughout the game. Aiden Hutchinson emerged as one of the standout players, recording his first sack of the season and consistently disrupting the Rams' offensive rhythm. His performance, along with that of Marcus Davenport, helped the Lions generate 8 quarterback hits throughout the game, and this consistent pressure was crucial in limiting Stafford's ability to find rhythm in the passing game, particularly in the first half, because he did eventually get going, but we knew that would happen at some point. The Lions' run defense also showed some promise, especially early in the game. Led by linebacker Alex Anzalone, who contributed 13 tackles and set the tone with a hard hit on Williams. The front 7 effectively stifled the Rams' ground game for much of the contest, and this forced the Rams to rely more heavily on their passing attack, playing into the Lions' strength of pressuring the quarterback as much as possible, even though they didn't have a ton of actual sacks in this game. However, the Lions secondary proved to be the weakest link in their defensive performance. While safety Kirby Joseph did make a critical end zone interception that helped swing momentum, the overall coverage and tackling from the defensive backs were inconsistent, and Cooper Kupp exploited these weaknesses, finishing with an impressive 14 receptions for 110 yards and a touchdown. This really highlighted the need for improved coverage skills and communication in the secondary. And rookie corner Terrion Arnold in particular struggled in his debut. He committed 2 costly pass interference penalties that directly led to Rams points, underscoring the learning curve that young players often face when transitioning to the professional level. These mistakes in the secondary allowed the Rams to stay in the game and eventually force overtime, despite the strong play from the Lions' front 7. And from a schematic perspective, the Lions employed a balanced approach, mixing both zone and man coverage concepts. Their ability to generate pressure with their front 4 allowed them to drop more players into coverage, which was effective at times. However, as the game progressed, the Rams really began to find ways to exploit the zones, particularly with short and intermediate passes that allowed their receivers to gain a lot of yards after the catch. Looking ahead, the Lions defense will need to focus on improving their pass coverage, particularly against top-tier receivers, so developing better communication and tackling techniques in the secondary should definitely be a priority. Additionally, while the pass rush was effective, maintaining this pressure throughout all 4 quarters will be crucial in future matchups. If the Lions can address these areas while building on the strengths shown by their front 7, they have the potential to become one of the more well-rounded and formidable defensive units as the season progresses. So overall, I would say week 1 was definitely a pretty solid performance for the Lions. Yes, they have stuff to work on, but starting off the season with a huge win over a team like the Rams is exactly what you want to do. That's really all I have to say for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed it and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.